Patra. I mean, she's one of those names that's uh, almost more myth than history, right?
Absolutely. And she wasn't just the last queen of ancient Egypt. She was standing at this incredible collision point.
The collision of what, exactly?
Well, you have the declining Hellenistic world on one side, the world that came from Alexander the Great. And on the other, you have this unstoppable
The
force,
Roman Republic.
the Roman Republic. You could say she spent 2 decades on the most dangerous political tightrope imaginable.
Her mission was pretty simple then.
In theory, just, preserve the independence of her kingdom.
But at a time when Rome was basically annexing everything it could see.
An impossible task. Her entire life was a political calculation.
And that calculation is exactly what we're diving into today. We want to move beyond the Roman propaganda, the myth of the temptress, the sexual predator, and get to the political reality of her reign.
We'll look at her as a lover, yes, but more importantly, as a queen and as a mother.
Because those two roles, queen and mother, that's where the destiny of her nation really lay.
The stakes were just impossibly high. And we know the result. When she died in 30 BCE, it wasn't just her dynasty that ended.
It was the end of Egypt as an independent kingdom, full stop.
3,000 years of history brought to a sudden close.
So to understand the pressure she was under, we have to unpack the legacy she inherited, the Ptolemaic Empire.
Right. The dynasty itself started brilliantly. It goes right back to one of Alexander the Great's generals, Ptolemy I.
And those early Ptolemies, they were empire builders.
Oh, absolutely. Under Ptolemy II, you get the golden age of Alexandria. We're talking about the Great Pharos Lighthouse, the museum, the library. He also systematized the entire administration of Egypt.
But by the time Cleopatra shows up, that golden age is, well, it's a bit tarnished.
A lot tarnished. Rome had gone from being a distant ally to an existential threat.
Her own father, Ptolemy XII, his entire reign was consumed with just one goal.
Don't get annexed.
Right. And how did he manage that?
With money. Massive, ruinous bribes to powerful Romans just to keep his title.
Which saddled the kingdom with a colossal amount of debt.
And that brings us to the administrative reality she inherited. On paper, it was this incredibly advanced, efficient bureaucracy.
But the reality on the ground was very different.
The reality was a system that was full of inefficiencies. And its main purpose wasn't really governance.
It was then.
Revenue. Just extracting the maximum possible amount of wealth from the country for the king. It was designed to pull grain and gold out as fast as possible.
And when a system is designed like that, it must have led to widespread resistance.
It did. You see this fascinating detail in the sources, a practice called anachoresis.
What was that?
It was basically a revenue strike. The peasants would just abandon their villages and fields en masse.
Wow. So they would just leave.
They'd leave. It was their main form of leverage. Because the administration needed the revenue stream more than they needed to punish one specific village, so they'd negotiate.
It shows just how much tension was baked into the system she had to manage.
A system governing one of history's first truly multicultural societies. But it was not an equal one.
Not at all. There was a very rigid hierarchy.
Macedonian and Greek identity at the top, Egyptian identity at the very bottom. They even had separate legal systems for Greeks, Jews, and Egyptians.
And this is where you see one of the most stunning details about Cleopatra's own political skill.
Yes. She was, reputedly, the first ruler in her entire dynasty.
A dynasty that had ruled for almost 300 years.
To actually bother to learn to speak Egyptian.
That's monumental. What does that signal?
It signals she understood she couldn't just be a Greek queen in Alexandria. She was reaching out to the majority of her subjects, showing them that she was their pharaoh, not just another foreign ruler.
So let's talk about the queen herself. The sources, even the Roman ones, they focus on her intelligence, her charm.
Not her beauty. They actually describe her looks as, well, average.
But she was a formidable intellectual.
Absolutely. A product of Alexandria. Spoke at least 8 languages, was widely read, even wrote books on things like cosmetics. She was groomed to be an effective ruler.
And she needed to be. Her father dies in 51 BCE, and she's made joint ruler with her younger brother, Ptolemy III.
And critically, the Roman people are named as their guardians.
Which immediately sets up a power struggle.
A huge one. She runs straight into the established powers in Alexandria, a group of Roman mercenaries called the Gabinians. They back her brother and force her to flee the capital.
But she doesn't just go into exile.
No, she immediately starts building support among the native Egyptians. And we see this brilliant piece of political theater.
The Bushi's bull.
Exactly. In 51 BCE, she personally presides over the installation of the new sacred Buchis bull, the incarnation of the god Montu.
She's showing her piety. She's showing she's the legitimate, God-sanctioned ruler.
At the exact moment, her political power is at its weakest. It's an incredibly shrewd move.
But she's still blocked militarily. She's facing total defeat, and then history just intervenes.
Rome comes to her. Julius Caesar arrives in Alexandria in 48 BCE.
Which leads to maybe the most legendary story about her. She can't approach Caesar openly.
The regime in the city is hostile to her, so she has herself smuggled into the palace.
Concealed in a bed sack. I mean, the sheer audacity of it.
It's the ultimate gamble, but it puts her directly in front of the most powerful man in the world.
And it works.
It works perfectly. Caesar settles the dispute, makes them joint rulers again, but he clearly doesn't trust the situation.
Because he leaves behind a massive occupation force, 4 legions.
And the sources are very clear about this. The troops were there to protect them, yes, but also to coerce them if they proved ungrateful.
So she's ruling on probation, basically.
She's on a Roman leash. And she gets a very public reminder of this during her visit to Rome in 46 BCE.
Right. She's confirmed as an allied queen, but she has to watch her own sister, Arsinoe, paraded in chains in Caesar's triumph.
Imagine the humiliation and the political threat. As long as Arsinoe is alive, she's a potential replacement that Rome can use against her.
Which helps explain the ruthlessness that follows. That need to eliminate any threat to the dynasty.
And that same pragmatism really sets the stage for her next great alliance.
Yeah.
The one with Mark Antony.
After Caesar's death, Antony's the new power in the East. And their first meeting at Tarsus is, again, pure spectacle.
It's all calculated political theater, designed to appeal directly to Antony's ego.
So describe the scene for us.
She doesn't arrive like a client queen begging for help. She arrives in a gilded barge with silver oars, dressed as the goddess Venus.
Or Aphrodite.
Right, coming to revel with Bacchus, which was Antony's preferred divine persona. It's a huge psychological power play.
She's signaling that Egypt is an equal partner, not a subject.
And underneath all the famous revelry, the inimitable Livers Club and all that, this was an alliance of necessity.
It was more political than personal.
Much more. Her shipyards built Antony's fleet. Her wealth paid his troops.
And what did she get in return?
A huge political win. In 37 BCE, Antony grants enormous territories back to Egypt, Cyprus, Crete, parts of Syria.
This allows her to achieve her main goal.
To recreate the empire of her ancestors. To make Egypt a dominant regional power again.
But this, of course, absolutely infuriates Rome.
And then comes the final provocation. The donations of Alexandria in 34 BCE.
Antony celebrates a military victory not in Rome, but in Alexandria.
And he holds this ceremony where he grants kingdoms to their children. During it, Cleopatra appears in the sacred robes of Isis and is called the New Isis.
It's a direct challenge to Octavian and the Roman Senate.
It was all the ammunition Octavian needed. He launched this relentless propaganda war.
And he didn't frame it as a Roman civil war?
No, he framed it as a foreign invasion. He painted Antony as a slave to Cleopatra's lust, betraying every Roman value.
He turned Cleopatra into an enemy on the scale of Hannibal.
Exactly. The ultimate foreign threat to Rome's existence. He even spread rumors that her favorite oath was to one day give judgment from the capital in Rome.
Suggesting she wanted to conquer Rome itself. It's brutally effective propaganda.
And it all leads to the final showdown at Actium in 31 BCE.
They're defeated. They escape back to Egypt.
And their time back in Alexandria is just grim. They dissolve the inimitable Livers and form a new club.
The partners in death.
Reflecting their fate. Octavian was closing in.
And she finally commits suicide in August of 30 BCE. But this wasn't an act of despair. It was one last political act.
Absolutely. She was denying Octavian his greatest prize, the humiliation of parading her through Rome in his triumph, just like her sister.
And this is where we get the most famous myth of all, the cobra.
The story of her dying from an asp bite. It's vital to know that this was almost certainly pure propaganda.
So where does the story come from?
It first appears in a painting, a tableau, that Octavian himself displayed during his triumph.
So why invent it, if no one found a snake?
Because the snake is a powerful symbol. It's exotic, foreign, dangerous. It perfectly fit the narrative Octavian had been building. It made her death a spectacle.
He successfully cemented her image as this symbol of ambition, lust, the foreign danger to Roman values.
An image reinforced by poets like Virgil, who pretty clearly modeled Queen Dido in the Aeneid on her. And that Roman view, it stuck for almost 2,000 years.
But behind all the drama, the core of her life was governing. That's what she fought for. And we have this one rare, incredible glimpse of that.
The discovery of her actual handwriting on a papyrus. A single Greek word.
Genesto.
Let it be so. Her signature, authorizing a document. It cuts through all the propaganda and shows us Cleopatra, the queen, at work.
Managing that colossal bureaucracy she inherited.
All of it, the alliances, the wars, the risks, it was all designed to create stability and economic strength for Egypt.
And she largely succeeded. The fact she could afford to finance Antony's armies proves she had restored the kingdom's wealth. She kept her dynasty alive for 2 decades against all odds.
Which brings us to the final thought for you, the listener. For 2 millennia, we've had to rely almost entirely on accounts written by her enemies, the victors.
But now with things like the ongoing exploration of her submerged palace and discoveries like that, signed papyrus,
There's this hopeful possibility.
what might we truly learn about this queen, about the challenges of her reign, if Cleopatra is finally allowed to speak again in her own voice, free from the distortions of Roman victory? It proves that history is never really truly settled.